Greetings, dear friends. Did you know that in the Middle Ages, a person could be thrown into a river with a stone around their neck, and if they floated, they were considered guilty? And in ancient Babylon, the accused was forced to jump into a raging river, and if the current carried them away, they were innocent because the river had taken them to the gods. Today we will talk about 10 most shocking ways to prove innocence that were used throughout human history. And believe me, some of them are so wild that it's hard to believe even now. Why is this topic important? Because many of these methods still influence our justice system. Some principles established in these barbaric trials can be found in modern jurisprudence, and at the end of the video, I will tell you about one method that is used even in the 21st century and can save the life of an innocent person. But let's go through everything in order. Let's start with the most cruel method, trial by fire. Imagine you are accused of a crime you did not commit, and to prove your innocence, you are offered to take a red-hot iron in your hands and carry it for 9 steps. Sounds insane? Yet this was a common practice in medieval Europe. Moreover, this trial had many variations, each more terrifying than the previous one. The procedure looked like this. The accused had to take a red-hot metal bar weighing from 1 to 3 pounds with bare hands. The weight depended on the severity of the accusation. The more serious the crime, the heavier the bar. The metal was heated until red in a special furnace right in the church. With a large crowd of people, the accused had to walk 9 steps with it, no more, no less. Each step was counted aloud by the crowd. After this, the hand was immediately bandaged with linen cloth, sealed with wax, and stamped with the local judge's seal. For 3 days, the accused was kept under guard so that no one could help with treatment. On the 4th day, the bandage was ceremoniously removed in the presence of witnesses. If the wound healed cleanly without traces of pus, the person was innocent. If infection developed, guilty. The logic was simple. God would protect the innocent from burns. But the most interesting part lies in the details. Modern historians have discovered records that some priests secretly helped those whose innocence they were sure of. They coated the metal with a thin layer of wax mixed with herbs, which when heated created an invisible protective film. This film provided a few seconds of protection, enough to take 9 quick steps. There are also known cases when the accused would rub their hands with special tanning substances for several days before the trial, which made the skin rougher and less sensitive. Some even took poppy infusions that dulled the pain. But imagine what it was like for those who weren't lucky enough to receive such help. The second method is no less shocking, trial by water. And there were 2 variants here, cold water and boiling water. Let's start with cold water. The accused was tied in a special way. The right hand was tied to the left foot, and the left hand to the right foot. This was called being bound in a cross. A long rope was tied to the waist so that the person could be pulled out. Before immersion, a priest blessed the water, reading special prayers. It was believed that blessed water would not accept a sinner. Then the bound person was thrown into a body of water. If the person sank, they were innocent and quickly pulled out by the rope. If they floated, guilty, because water, as a pure element, rejects a sinner. The paradox is that the innocent was considered to be the one who began to sink. Of course, they tried to pull them out, but they didn't always succeed. Records show that approximately 1 in 5 innocent people drowned before they could be saved. And those who could hold their breath or had more fat in their body and therefore floated better were automatically found guilty. What a perverted logic. The trial by boiling water was even more frightening. The accused had to retrieve a ring or stone from the bottom of a pot with boiling water. The depth of hand immersion depended on the severity of the accusation, to the wrist, elbow, or shoulder. After this, the hand was also bandaged and checked after 3 days. Historians have calculated that surviving such a trial without serious injury was practically impossible. The third method, trial by combat as divine judgment. This was the only method where the accused had a real chance. The accuser and the accused met in combat and the winner was considered right, but even here there were nuances. If the accuser was old, frail, or was a woman, they could hire a professional fighter, a champion. The rules of the duel were strictly regulated. The fight took place in a specially fenced area, usually circular in shape. If someone went beyond its limits, they were automatically recognized as the loser. Weapons were chosen depending on the social status of the participants. Nobles fought with swords, commoners with clubs, or just fists. The most amazing thing is that women also participated in duels. However, when a woman fought with a man, the rules changed. The man was placed waist deep in a pit, one arm tied behind his back, and the woman was given a leather bag with a stone weighing 3 pounds. It was believed that this equalized the forces. History knows an amazing case from Bern in the year 1288. A woman named Margarita accused a man of theft. He demanded a duel. Margarita not only accepted the challenge but won, smashing the opponent's head with a stone in a bag. After this incident, the city council banned duels between men and women. The fourth method is especially creepy: trial by poison. In some African tribes, the accused was given a brew made from poisonous plants, most often from the bark of the mwavi tree or calabar beans. If the person survived, they were innocent. The problem was that the dose of poison often depended on the mood of the one who prepared the brew. Interestingly, this trial had several levels. First, the poison was given to a chicken. If the chicken survived, the accused was innocent and didn't even have to drink the brew. If the chicken died, the accused was offered to drink the poison. But often, the decision about guilt was made based on exactly how the chicken died. If it fell on its right side, the person was guilty. If on its left, innocent. Some healers knew antidotes and for a large fee gave them to the accused before the trial. Others taught how to induce vomiting unnoticeably to observers. There were also those who gradually accustomed their body to the poison by taking it in small doses, but most did not have such opportunities and died a painful death. The fifth method, trial by consecrated food, also known as corsned. The accused had to eat a piece of blessed bread or cheese weighing exactly 1 ounce. Before this, the priest pronounced a special incantation over the food. May this food stick in the throat of the guilty and pass freely in the innocent. Often before the trial, the person was starved for several days and also not given anything to drink. By the time of the trial, they had a completely dry throat, and then they were forced to quickly swallow a large piece of dry bread without water. Meanwhile, a crowd stood around, closely watching every movement. The psychological pressure was enormous. Many began to choke simply from fear. There is a known case when Earl Godwin of Wessex in the year 1053 choked on a piece of bread at a feast when King Edward accused him of murdering his brother. Although it was ordinary bread, not consecrated, contemporaries perceived it as divine judgment. The sixth method was used mainly for women accused of witchcraft: the needle test. It was believed that the devil marked his servants with special marks insensitive to pain. Special people, called witch finders or witch prickers, examined every inch of the accused's body. The procedure was humiliating and painful. The woman was completely undressed and shaved bald. Hair could hide the devil's marks. Then her body was examined with long needles, looking for moles, scars, or any unusual marks. If they found a place where the woman did not feel the prick, it was considered irrefutable proof of connection with the devil. The most famous witch finder, Matthew Hopkins, who operated in England in the 17th century, sent more than 300 women to the stake. After his death, they found a whole set of ingenious needles, some with retractable tips, others with blunt ends, covered with paint imitating blood. For each witch found, Hopkins received 20 shillings. Huge money for those times. The seventh method, oath on holy relics or judicial oath. The accused had to place their hand on a sacred relic, part of the Lord's cross, bones of saints, sacred books, and swear their innocence. The formula of the oath was strictly defined, and any error in pronunciation was considered a sign of guilt. But the most interesting thing happened behind the scenes. Some enterprising priests created special traps for liars. In the reliquary with relics, they built in a mechanism with sharp spikes that jumped out when pressed, or hid wasps and bees inside. When the guilty placed their hand on the relic, the priest secretly activated the mechanism. There is a known case in Reims when the local bishop ordered the reliquary to be covered with a special composition of nettle and other stinging plants. The composition was colorless and odorless, but upon contact with skin caused severe burning and blisters. When the accused jerked their hand away from pain, it was interpreted as God's punishment for a false oath. The eighth method, trial by lot or divine judgment. There were many variations. The simplest, 2 lots, black and white. But there were also more sophisticated methods. For example, the Psalter test. A note with the name of the suspect was placed in the Bible, and if the book turned when reading certain psalms, the person was guilty. Another variant, the sieve test. A sieve was suspended on scissors or tongs, the names of suspects were pronounced, and if at a certain name the sieve began to rotate, there's the criminal. Of course, an experienced performer could make the sieve rotate at the right moment with a slight movement of the hand. But the most insidious was the trial by lot with substitution. Two identical-looking lots were prepared, but both meant guilt. Some smart accused, suspecting a trick, would grab a lot and quickly swallow it, declaring, "Check the remaining one. If it's black, it means I swallowed the white one." This required incredible courage and wit. The ninth method, trial by scales, especially popular in India and some parts of Europe. The accused was weighed twice, before and after prayers. If the second time they turned out to be lighter, it meant that sins had left their body, and they were innocent. In Europe, they were more often weighed against the Bible or other sacred objects. In accusations of witchcraft, witch scales were used. It was believed that a witch could not weigh more than a certain amount. Usually it was about 50 kilograms. The logic was that witches fly on brooms and therefore must be light. If a woman weighed more, she could not be a witch. In the Dutch city of Oudewater, there was even an official chamber for weighing witches. Women from all over Europe came there to get a certificate that their weight was normal and they could not be witches. These certificates cost a lot of money, but could save a life. Interestingly, throughout the chamber's history, not a single woman was recognized as a witch. Apparently, the city authorities were more interested in income from issuing certificates. And finally, the 10th method, which is still used today, the lie detector or polygraph. Yes, don't be surprised. The first prototype of the polygraph appeared in ancient China. The suspect held a handful of dry rice in their mouth during interrogation. If the rice remained dry, the person is lying, because fear stops salivation. The modern polygraph is much more complex, but the principle is the same, measuring physiological reactions of the body. Sensors record pulse, pressure, sweating, breathing. It is believed that lying causes stress, which is reflected in these indicators. But is it really so? Studies show that the accuracy of the polygraph is from 70 to 90%, far from a 100% guarantee. Experienced liars and psychopaths can deceive the detector because they do not feel guilt, and innocent people often fail the test due to fear of the procedure itself. There are even courses on how to cheat a polygraph. They teach how to control breathing, subtly tense muscles, think about something exciting during control questions. Some put a button in their shoe and press it to distort the readings. Therefore, in many countries, polygraph results are not accepted in court as evidence, just like medieval trials. What unites all these methods, from red-hot iron to the modern polygraph? They are based on the belief that there is some infallible way to distinguish truth from lies. In the Middle Ages, they believed in divine intervention. Today, in the infallibility of technology. But human nature is more complex than any trials. History shows that each of these methods could be deceived with knowledge, connections, or money. The rich could buy fake holy relics for the oath, hire the best fighter for the duel, or bribe the witch finder. The poor relied only on luck and their own ingenuity. The modern justice system is far from perfect, but at least it is based on the presumption of innocence and requires evidence. Although, if you think about it, jurors also deliver verdicts based on their feelings and beliefs, and public opinion in social networks sometimes resembles a medieval crowd demanding trial by water, so maybe we haven't strayed so far from our ancestors. The saddest thing in this whole story is how many innocent people suffered because of these barbaric methods. Historians have calculated that during the witch hunt in Europe, from 40 to 60,000 people died, and these are only official data for one type of accusation. And which of these methods seemed the wildest to you? Maybe you know other strange ways of establishing truth from history. Write in the comments. I'm really interested to know your opinion, and if you've watched until this moment, it means you were really interested. Like this video, it's the best way to say thank you for the work done and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel and be sure to click the bell to not miss new videos. I have many more amazing stories from the past that help better understand the present. Share this video with friends. Let them also know how lucky we are to live in an era when we don't need to grab red-hot iron to prove we're right. And in the next episode, I'll tell you about methods that helped criminals avoid punishment over the centuries. And believe me, some of these tricks still work. You'll learn about fake identities, secret hideouts, and legal loopholes used by the craftiest criminals in history. Remember, justice is not something given from above, but what we create ourselves day by day with our decisions and actions. Until next time, friends,